Welcome to Be Now. My name is Don McLeod, and we're going to talk about what's going on in and around Brampton. And joining me now is Fazal Khan.
Hi, Don. Never a dull day in Brampton, is it?
No, it isn't. Nice and hot out there today, too, eh?
I didn't actually make my way outside yet. I've been working all day in my cool basement.
Well, it's hot in several areas in Brampton, right? One especially, I guess, at City Council. What do you got in the manila envelope this week? What do we got?
So there was actually two things that came to me, one in a manila envelope and one in a brown box.
Uh-huh.
So I'll show you the brown box one shortly, but let's see. I've already taken a peek at this one.
Missing in action, yep. That's part of what we're going to talk about today.
Can you see those photographs? It's a really bad printer.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know who printed that. Actions deemed illegal, last seen at a press conference. So that was the first one.
Okay.
And then I didn't want to, this is a little dangerous, so I was going to, anyways.
Blowtorch. The blowtorch to democracy. So let's lay it out for people who are watching and maybe didn't hear about it. Patrick Brown actually put a special meeting together within 24 hours, just like the Six did previously on several occasions. And that was for today at 11 o'clock to talk about all the backlog of events and all the backlog about that was on City Council business that hadn't been taken care of because of the shenanigans of the Six over the last maybe 2 months. So basically, the 5 councillors didn't show up, and Gurpreet Dillon tweeted out, I think it was about maybe 10 minutes to 11, that Patrick Brown had slipped us through a 24-hour special meeting that nobody knew about it, and we told City Council or City Clerk that we would not be there, and blah, 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 blah. You know, I tweeted back to him, it's like, Gurpreet, you've done this several times to the other 5 councillors. You know, Martin was the one 2 weeks ago saying, we want to get back, we want to do city business. You know, Patrick Brown and the other 4 councillors are withholding democracy. They've taken a blowtorch at democracy and on and on and on ad infinitum. Yes, there's a blowtorch. So today they didn't show up. They said they were all on vacation, but I see Gurpreet Dillon tweeted out he was at his birthday party of his eldest son. You know, there's such a thing in the last 2 years. It's been called COVID. And as far as I know, City Council meetings just started again recently. Before that, they were online, and if you can get an internet and hook up to the computer, you can actually attend a council meeting.
You mean like what we're doing now, Don? This
is what we can do. We could actually, and council meeting can actually do this. So for 5 councillors to be on vacation at the same time, wow, I guess.
And surprisingly, the same 5 councillors that were complaining about the other 5 councillors not showing up to meetings.
Well, 4 councillors and the mayor, right? So it's like, you know, I guess Pat Fortini wanted to make sure the residents were taken care of, you know, during this critical time phase.
How many councillors do you think we have in the city right now looking after Wards 7 and 8?
Well, actually, right now, I guess none, because we don't have a replacement.
How are those people in Ward 7 and 8?
I don't know. Like, you know, like I live in Ward 7 and 8, so, you know.
Are you surviving, Don?
You know, I don't know if I can survive without calling my counselor on a regular basis to complain about things, but apparently this is a major problem. But, you know, so the 5 councillors decided that what they did before to the other 4 councillors and the mayor is not kosher, and now they're complaining about it. It's like, it's a ridiculous scenario that these guys want to play games on a regular basis.
Well, you know, and all that had to happen today was one of the councillors out of the 5 show up so that all of the decisions that have been made at the committee of council meetings, I think the last 3 meetings, could just be passed because they've already talked about it all. All they have to now is that the way it works is you have committee council, and then everything goes to the council meeting where it just gets ratified and any last minute things can get kind of addressed. So all out of the 5, 1 had to show up to make it 6, and all that stuff would get passed. Plus, they would be talking about how to fill the now open seat.
Well, that was on
the agenda. Delegation of 90
people
scheduled for today, so a lot of them showed up, from what I understand. So all of those arguments that these councillors were making about why the mayor and the 4 other councillors weren't showing up, it's such hypocrisy. At least the mayor and the 4 councillors had a reason, right? Because the other councillors made a decision that would put the city at risk if they continue to have in these meetings. What's the excuse for these councillors?
I don't know. I mean, you know, you take a look at it. Gurpreet had enough. He was around because he was on Twitter and he was tweeting out that I couldn't You know, he snuck it. Why wasn't he at council meeting? Why was he on Twitter tweeting out, oh, it's a surprise meeting? Do your job, get off your ass and connect and go to City Hall. Martin Medeiros, who is the ringleader, I didn't see hide nor hair of Martin. Pat Fortini, nothing. Jeff Bowman, nothing.
Doug Willens has been missing for I don't know how long. Has anybody seen him?
I don't know. Maybe he's growing vegetables somewhere. I don't know. But it's like, you know, a Farmer John scenario. But, you know, at this point in time, you have pretty well just over 90 days left before the election, October 24th. Another thing on the agenda today was they wanted to move the election date from October 24th because of a holiday in regards to the Sikh religion. That was on the agenda. There was all sorts of things on the agenda that could have been taken care of. I mean, these are the same councillors whining and complaining, calling a press conference 2 weeks ago saying, you know, everything is being held up because of Patrick Brown and the other 4 councillors. We're more than willing to go to extra lengths to get things moving at City Hall. They've stopped its ground to a halt on a regular basis. Well, where were they today?
Any of them. We just needed one of them to show up. Anyways.
That's all you needed is one to show up, and they could ratify the business that was at hand. What's the problem? They were complaining. There was all sorts of things that were called, you know, in regards to development, in regards to national, you know, days that they wanted to recommend, and so on and so forth.
I saw some of those days were from like June.
Right. I mean, it's like, guys, like, this is not. Are you so set in your ways that, you know, it's something that you don't want to be? You know, you lost the Superior Court challenge to put Elaine Moore in there, and now what? I'm gonna take my ball and go home.
What's interesting, we'll get Darshan. We'll get to your question just now. But what's interesting is the 5 councillors. Let's list them again: Medeiros, Bowman, Willens, Fortini, and I always forget the 5th one, Don.
Well, Doug Willens.
I said Doug Willens.
Martin Medeiros, Doug Willens.
I forgot Medeiros this time.
Well,
those 5 have not put their names out to get reelected yet, right? They haven't submitted their names. So maybe they don't want the job.
Well, you know what? If you don't want the job, here's the thing. You know, if I'm in the private sector and I don't show up for work, I don't get paid, right? That's what everyone's scenario is.
Yeah, but we could have said that last month about the other 5, right?
Well, we could, but I'm just saying it generally right off the bat. I don't care, right? Across all councillors and the mayor, I don't care.
But, you know, the council meetings is not the be all and end all of what a councillor's job entails, which is what I think a lot of people
but at the same time, city business is there to conduct, and you know what, if you got a problem with the internal workings or the internal machinations of what's going on, let's not forget the first special meeting that the 6, including Charmaine Williams, called was in regards to, you know, the City Hall was basically, you know, democracy was a blowtorch was taken to democracy in City Hall. Right after that meeting, they fired the CAO, they fired the head of HR, the head of the communications, they fired the IC, and then they fired the city solicitor. All these people are working at City Hall to ensure that there's accountability and transparency at City Hall. These are the people that they fired, and then, don't like that. That could be dangerous. But these are the people they fired, basically talking about, well, you know, we want to have democracy. These are the people that keep a tab on democracy, you idiots.
Yeah. So I see Flynn has posted something about this Twitter status of Medeiros. I don't have the setup here to show that, but let's talk about Darshan. Is this what should we expect for the next 4 years, Don?
Well, I'll put it this way. There's a lot of people, as you said, that they haven't re-registered to run again. Every year we go through this, it seems, since Susan Fennell's time. Linda Jeffrey had the same thing. It's not like we have a perfect council. In the city of Mississauga, you rarely hear about problems in the city of Mississauga, but they do have major problems, right? I mean, you had Ron Starr as the associate, what was he, the acting mayor a couple of weeks ago. And this is the same guy that was found guilty of keying someone's car, and he's the deputy mayor.
Well, so that's a good segue into our next segment, Don, which is the rail conversion. Let's see what kind of. I think we have a video. Yeah, okay. We got the mayor's video. Let's watch the mayor's video first.
Rail. Yay! Well, it's a great day for the city of Brampton. We've officially unveiled
the purchase of the Brampton-Orangeville Railway. This is 51 kilometers of an old decommissioned railway that is actually going to be added to our ACT transportation network. So it can be used for running, walking, cycling. This is going to be a great new trail for the community to use. And it's a partnership with the City of Mississauga, the City of Brampton, and the Town of Caledon. So for those that love the outdoors, love having additional recreational amenities, today is a great day for our community.
Okay, so sorry, our screens were messed up.
No, it's okay.
So I was at that event, and guess who was there? Guess who was the acting mayor for Mississauga?
Yeah, Ron Starr.
Ron Starr. I thought he had 2 months of suspension for keying the car of another councillor that quit her job because of that.
Yeah, and what does that tell you about Bonnie Crombie? We'll get to her a little bit later, talking about housing in Mississauga. But you know, like how do you? That's like putting Gurpreet Dillon as an associate mayor, someone who was charged with sexual assault. And
hey, where are our associate mayors, Don? We have 2 of them.
We have deputy dogs. We have the 2 deputy dogs, Martin Medeiros.
The deputy mayors, how is the city getting along without them? Because those
I don't know, because before there was a lot of photo ops, but right now they basically awarded themselves the term of deputy mayor, both Martin Medeiros and Pat Fortini. But I don't know what they're doing.
Relinquish those titles now that the mayor is back full steam in Brampton?
Yeah, we're going to cover that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, the scenario at City Hall is, you know, as I said before, if you don't show up, you don't get paid. This is a situation where this is your job. This is what you're supposed to do. If you don't like the job, if you don't like, you know, I remember a job that I hated my boss. The boss was, you know, he was a major a-hole, right? Eventually I quit. That was my decision. I said, you know what, this is stupid, right? So if these guys on a regular basis think that, you know, democracy is under siege and everything else, you know, and they can't stand it anymore, there's an option. You can always decide not to run. You can quit, write a book, do what you want. But it's like, in the meantime, get out of the way of what city business, because most of the city business can be taken care of, and it's building permits, it's, you know, like road widenings, it's doing this, and, you know, the majority of stuff is mundane. I'd say 98% of it.
And, you know, to address, I know we're flipping around here because we talked about the rail and we didn't really talk about the rail. But I think what could happen is at the beginning of next term, whoever gets reelected, chances are everybody would get reelected, except we'd have 1 new councillor from Ward 7 and 8, and that. But they should just call a truce. Whatever was the issues this term, you know, audits and investigations, call a truce, start from scratch, except for Gurpreet Dillon. If Brampton re-elects Gurpreet Dillon to council, I don't even know how we're going to handle that, right? It's not right. No,
it's not right. But at the same time, it's up to the voters. That's the voters. I mean, we can voice our opinions. We're welcome to it. But at the same time, if you're going to make a stand and you're going to do stuff and put yourself out there, sorry, but you know what? We're here to basically comment on what's going on at City Hall on a regular basis. Whether the 5 or the 6 or the 4, the 2 are to blame. At this point in time, there's city business that has to be done. There's an election 90 days from now. You know, get off your ass, do what you're supposed to be doing. Because, like I said before, 98% of it is just
Don. Okay, let's get back to the rail conversion. So right, that's a 51-kilometer line where the old Orangeville, Caledon, Brampton Railway is. It starts from Streetsville, goes into Orangeville, 51 kilometers. I guess it was decommissioned very, very recently, but it wasn't really being used very much, like 2 or 3 trains a week before. So I thought, and that's in my area, it's a 5-minute ride to that trail, which would get me all the way. I think it crosses the Caledon Trail in Inglewood. That would be amazing on a regular basis to use.
Yeah, that's a big trail. I mean, they used to run like a train between Orangeville and I think it stopped in Innisville. Anyway, it was a jazz train. They'd have different things onto it, but it was an old train. It ended up in Orangeville, the old Orangeville station. It was fun. It was good. But at the same time, moving forward, I mean, if you wanted to transfer that, there was talk about putting, a Go connector train in there. But that has to be, all the grading has to be redone. All the ties have to be redone. There's upgrades along that line. And basically, the whole thing has to be redone.
But it could be really amazing, I think. And I think some of the conversation, I have some more video I got to put out, but some of the conversation was it's saying this could be like a world-class trail where people come to visit, where people, can hop on a GO train from Toronto, get off from Brampton, get on the trail and go all the way up to Caledon and come back the same day, right?
And there's a lot of businesses along that whole area, Innisville all the way up to Orangeville.
I'm starting an ice cream shop on that trail.
Yeah, there's small little towns along that way that could be. I mean, I know there's a lot of bikers take that back route from Caledon all the way down, and there's all sorts of little places and little towns. So
okay,
I mean,
so Darshan had another question.
Okay,
specifically to me, I don't know why to me, but how do you declare a truce on an audit? Let's talk about the audits and investigations. Councillors should not be the ones investigating it, and that's what's going on now, right? So the 5 that didn't show up today, they're the ones that started this audit. And they're the ones that are hands-on with an audit that's trying to accuse another councillor of wrongdoing. Does that make any sense to anybody?
Well, put it this way: the audit. There were several audits beforehand. There was a couple audits on HR. There was, the hiring practices were brought in. They brought in Deloitte. Deloitte said, "Sorry, there's nothing wrong here. We don't see anything wrong."
$500,000 later, Deloitte
right.
said.
And then what happened was the 6 councillors that we're talking about said, "We don't believe that audit. We want to send it to the Ontario Ombudsman." So the Ontario Ombudsman report came back, and that said, "Guys, there's nothing going on here. You didn't give Deloitte, number one, they wanted the audit done in 30 days. You didn't give Deloitte enough time, number one. Number two, there was people that refused to answer questions to Deloitte, and the Ombudsman said, get your act together, go away." Right?
And
now they're doing the same thing with the university.
To top it all off, the whistleblower in that case provided a cell phone with evidence. The cell phone wasn't functional that she provided to Deloitte. So, like, the city spent $500,000 investigating, basically found nothing, and now they want to. This is not an audit. This is a witch hunt at this point.
Exactly, it's not an audit. It's a witch hunt. And the thing is, you have an interim CAO that's basically a lame duck CAO. He was in charge of bylaw. He has no experience basically running a big city. Although some may say David Barrick didn't as well, but at the same time, get a qualified person in that seat as a CAO. He's supposed to be running the city and he's supposed to be taking care of this. But the 6 fired the CAO, they fired the HR, they fired the communications director, they fired the IC, and they fired the city solicitor. So what are you going to do? Right?
Yeah. Okay, so let's go on to the next topic, Patrick Brown.
Okay, Patrick Brown, he's running again for mayor, which is, I think, a good scenario. I mean, a lot of people don't like Patrick, but I've talked to Patrick. We've had conversations with Patrick. We've been dealing with Patrick. To me, it's a shame what happened in the Conservative Party leadership race to him. We won't get into that, but he's running again. So I think there's a few people that are challengers that are stepping up. Some of the people were talking about Martin Medeiros was going to run if Patrick didn't. Thank God that didn't happen. Maybe Martin wants to throw his hat in the ring and see how we can do to restore democracy, with a blowtorch back into Brampton. But let's see what happens, right? You seriously think that there's a major problem? Throw your hat in the ring, right?
Yeah, and so Mike, our regular viewer Mike, is making some comments. I know he's not a big fan of Patrick. And just for, what's the word? Transparent? I don't know what the word is. Just for, I'll use transparency. I am a big Patrick Brown fan. I didn't vote for him for mayor. He came on board, and his version of conservatism, I think he said it's social inclusion, fiscal conservatism.
Yeah.
I could be misquoting him, but that sums up a lot of people, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, he resonates with a lot of people in Brampton. We've heard rumors of this person's going to run, this person's going to run. I don't react to rumors. If you're going to run, put your name in the hat and then run, and let's see what you got.
I haven't heard Sarah thinking about running. If she was running, first of all, everybody's kind of late. I think even the mayor's late, but he's got the benefit of being the incumbent and the notoriety that he has. Ruby Sahota, I like Ruby. I think she's done a great job in Brampton North, but I don't know why you would leave an MP's salary for the next 3 years, because that's when the next election is, to jump into the middle of what's going on at City Hall here. So if she runs, it'll make things interesting, but to me, it's a big risk on her part.
Yeah, and let's see. So we're going to segue a little bit. Patrick is running again. Let's see who steps up. We have, what is it, August? When's the last date? August 19th, I think, is the final date to register.
You know what? We should have a countdown. We should have a countdown on what that day is.
All right, okay. So
I don't think there's enough people running, to be honest.
That's the next. Okay, so we can talk
not
about
just
that.
for mayor, but for everything else.
Although the thing is funny, we're talking about Mike Dancy. You know, he doesn't like Brampton, but he put a letter in today. Basically, he wanted to run and represent wards 7 and 8. Basically, so he submitted a letter to council, and that would have been read today.
We saw that, Mike.
We saw that, Mike.
That.
You know, we saw the letter that you submitted to council saying, "I want to represent."
Were you
going to
quit your day job, Mike?
Exactly.
You would not be allowed to use any computers.
Yeah,
Period.
Patrick left the job to run for CPP leader. Yes, we understand that. Charmaine Williams left her job to run for an MPP. When you're in politics, you're always looking for the greener grass. You're always going to jump from, that's politics, right? I mean, and the unfortunate part is, here's the thing. Someone like Pierre Poilievre, that's all he's done all his life. He was 23, and he's done that, and that's all he's done. And he's talking about these videos about how hard it is for working class families. How would you know? That's the only job you've had.
Yeah. Okay, so
before we segue out of this, Patrick Brown, an interesting development in Toronto, running against John Tory is Gil Pelanoza, right? Now, for those who know,
I like him. He did he did something in the Rose Theater, I think right before the last election. It might have been way back in 2014.
2014, he came, and his vision is basically 8 to 80, develop cities that people from 8 to 80 can enjoy. He's a big transit.
I think you got that wrong, Don. But anyways,
no, from 8 to 80, that's what he champions. If you taught,
well, what about kids from 0 to 8 and people older than 80?
Well, I mean, okay, from 0 to 8, come on. I mean, you can't even walk from 0 to 8 for Christ's sakes. But what he's talking about from 8 to 80, that's what his thing was, where people are going to enjoy his city. He's a big transit advocate. He's a big biking advocate. One of his big things was, I think he's South American, but I think he helped Colombia, yes. He transformed, I think, helped transform the city of Colombia in Colombia. I forget which.
No, Colombia is a country, Don.
No, but I know.
I'm from South America. I know that.
Yeah, okay. But there's a city in Colombia called Colombia, is there not? San Paulo?
Maybe I could be wrong.
It could have been San Paulo. Anyway, he was instrumental in changing that city. So anyway, it's going to be an interesting thing because he's more a people person, a city for people rather than the other way around like John Tory is, right? So it'll be an interesting race. He's got good ideas. It's almost like Jennifer Keesmaat when she was running against John Tory in the last election. So he's going to bring a whole bunch of different ideas, including into that Toronto city race. So that's going to be interesting to actually watch on a regular basis.
It'll be interesting to maybe watch the debates, but there's no way anybody's beating John Tory. No way.
You never know if someone is going to.
I'm 100%. I know, Don.
Oh, you know?
Unless John has a heart attack.
What's the book on? What's the Vegas book on Tory winning? What's the Vegas book on that?
I'm not a gambling guy, Don.
Okay. All right. What's up next?
Bonnie Crombie. Let's get.
Bonnie Crombie. Yeah, Bonnie Crombie was in the news this weekend because I got the Globe and Mail, and they had a.
Please tell me you're not going to put your glasses on, Don. We're going to lose all our young viewers.
The growing challenge of a shrinking population. Basically, that was the headline in the Globe and Mail this weekend. And they were talking about the shrinking population of Mississauga and how that's...
You kind of say that casually, but I don't think most people know that Brampton is booming in terms of population. And I think Mississauga actually decreased in population.
They decreased in population. And one of the things that they talked about in this was basically high density, right? They were talking about how do you get more people, but if you've got urban sprawl and like Mississauga has been, where Hazel McCallion was called the queen of sprawl, because basically she let the developers run rampant across Mississauga without any kind of high density development. A lot of those high, like those sprawling neighborhoods, they have older people right now. They don't have kids and they're in their houses. So Bonnie basically said one of the reasons that the issue in her city is about aging people who are effectively overhoused but unwilling to move or unable to find suitable new home. Empty nesters haven't moved on to more appropriate accommodation allowing growing families to move in.
Where are they
Well,
supposed to
Bonnie,
go? Where are they supposed to go?
where, Bonnie, are they supposed to go? And what house are you living in? How many people live in your house? How many people live in Hazel McCallion's house? That, what is she, 100 years old? Why isn't she moving to a long-term care facility? Right? How
she actually lives by herself. She's got a fancy security system that I think her kids monitor her from, but it's one person in her house.
Exactly. Bonnie Crombie. How many people live in Bonnie's sprawling place in Mississauga? Why haven't you moved on? What kind of stupidity is that? Right? I mean, to say,
but you know, but
like,
she does raise a good issue, though, Don. It's a problem. Her solution is like to tell seniors to move. But,
yeah. How is that a solution? That's a ridiculous scenario. If you want to put high density along a main artery corridor, I know the Brampton City Council or the Planning Commission recommended in Brampton that around major corridors or centers like GO stations, there should be high density. Well, duh, this is not rocket science.
I think there was a report. I didn't look at it. I just think I saw the title or somebody tweeted on Twitter, basically unlimited height developments in Brampton. So let developers go as high as they want.
Well, you know, there's got to be some, but the thing is, Mount Pleasant area was supposed to be a high density area. That didn't turn out, you know, because that's where
I was actually in that area a week ago, and it is nice. I don't know why we don't develop more neighborhoods that way. It's got a community center, a library, a pond that turns into an ice rink. I think they had a farmer's market. I don't know if they still do.
But they wanted more high density around the GO station. They didn't do the high density around the GO station.
Well, there are some higher density going up there now. I think there's a building going up there.
Not as much as they planned.
No, you definitely need a lot more. If there's a GO train station there, that whole area should be dense.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. So that's, you know, Bonnie, to say that is, you know, disingenuous. And, you know, as I said before, Mississauga has been planned by Hazel as a sprawling neighborhood. Brampton is no better in a lot of regards in that, but high density is something that you know, a lot of cities go to. I mean, I've been Barcelona, Madrid, all over Europe. That's what they do. I mean, you know, they do have density. They do have high rises. They do have you know, some buildings are only allowed 12 stories and so on and so forth, but 12 stories can fit a lot of people in there rather than a single house.
Yep. Yeah. But, you know, I'm not one to talk either, so I'm not living the green.
No, life. But I mean, if you get to a certain age, I mean, if you have your home and you want to retire in your home and die in your home, that's your privilege to do. You paid your property taxes.
Well, it is done, but at the same time, everybody has different needs, right? Seniors, two seniors in a large house, or even one senior in a large house makes no sense. And then you have how
it only makes sense for them because, you know what, it's their life if they can do exactly. I'm not telling anybody what to do and where to go. That's
they should be given more options, right?
Well, that's the whole thing. Do you want to move out and go to a long-term care facility in Ontario? I don't think so.
Yeah, and at a certain age, I think it's hard to move out. Once you're settled, like who wants to move at a certain age, right? You know where all your local shops are, all your friends are around there, your walking paths are there. At a certain age, there's a trade-off between selling because you don't need the money, right? You know, you've got a nice
livability.
Life.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some incentives to do that, not just telling people, "Hey, you're just you're wasteful in society."
Exactly, and that's. I mean, Bonnie's saying that they should move on and let young families. Come on, really, move out of your house, Bonnie. Then I'll be impressed. Okay.
All right, Don. So we've come to the end of the show, and normally I have to cut you off, but we have a minute for you to maybe say a few words that will.
I just, basically the scenario going on. There is another special meeting tomorrow. I think it's at 9:30. Right? There was a special meeting called. There's another special meeting called tomorrow. So if all those councillors out there, I'm sure they have a connecting internet, unless they're way up in Algonquin Park in the middle of nowhere and they can't get a satellite signal. They should be, And if anyone has seen these councillors around town or in the general area of Peel, can someone actually call the city clerk and let them know that there is a special meeting tomorrow at 9:30, right? Yeah, forget the blowtorch, right? So you can actually, if you're a councillor out there listening, you can virtually connect. There's a thing called the internet that they've been using for the last 2 years to connect the city council meetings.
And I think there might even be just a phone number.
You can actually do a phone number. So you know what? If anyone has any news of where these councillors are, you can email me and I will send that information to the city clerk and he can track them down.
That is an excellent public service message to end the show, Don. Thanks.
I would be happy to do that. Not a problem.
See you next time, Don.
Thank you. Thank you.